Hello, everyone. So we're here on the teleconference line, and we are here. Let me see. All right, Donna, can you hear me? All right, awesome. So I am here live on the conference call line, and I am up and running on Facebook Live, and I see some people joining in, so that's an awesome thing. I'm excited because I know that God is going to meet us in an awesome way tonight. I'm excited about this assignment of yours. I'm excited about this vision. I'm excited about this time of transformation because I know that God is doing something awesome in all of us. Okay, so they're popping in. Hey, Miss Tina, they're popping in. And as they're popping in, and as you're popping in tonight, I want you to do this. And those of you who are on the phone, you don't have the opportunity to do this, but I want us to do this on the Facebook Live. First of all, let me thank my sister Donna for including me in this assignment with her. I am so grateful to God just to be a part of this whole transformational thing because truly that's what it is. It is a transformation, and whether you're married, whether you're single, whatever your marital status may be, the point of the matter is that we all need to know who we are because when we know who we are better in everything that we say and do. So as everybody is coming on tonight, we just want to thank you all for being here with us for the last 3 nights. I thank my sister Tiffany, my sister Tosh, and just for sharing their hearts and just leading us on the path of the scent of love, the scent of vision. Very, very important. So what I want you to do, those of you on Facebook Live, because I want people to believe and see and understand that they are not alone. So I need you to listen to these numbers and I want you to identify yourself in these categories. If you are single, press the number 1. If you're a single mom, hit number 2. If you're married, type in number 3. If you're engaged, type in number 4. If you're a widow, type in number 5. And if you're sick, if you're divorced, type in number 6. And I want you to type in those numbers because what we need to understand is that when we experience this thing, when it comes down to relationships, that we are not alone. And I'm loving this. See, we have some single people on here, some single moms on here, some married people on here, some widow people on here. And that's what to understand. We have to know that on this journey that we're on and in this thing called life that we are in, that we are not alone. And oftentimes we don't get the help that we need. We don't take the extra steps that we need because we think that we are all alone. And we get in this place of isolation and we refuse to come out and get the help that we need. So I'm grateful. So as you all can see, there are many number 1s, number 2s, number 3. There are a variety of us in this group and on this call tonight and on this Facebook Live. So that's an awesome thing. So we're here for the Wifey Sense Tele-summit, and this is night number 3. Night number 1 was about the scent of love. Night number 2 was about the scent of vision, and tonight is the scent of identity. And identity is so important because I have some notes here and I have to have some notes here because I get so excited about this thing. And when I start talking and when I start thinking about all of the benefits of knowing who you are, I get so excited that I may go somewhere else and we don't want to do that. That somewhere else is probably a good place, but we want to take baby steps today. We want to take those who have never been exposed to conversations like this. No, people who have never been exposed to this type of sisterhood. We want to take you by the hand and we want to walk with you step by step. So we want to do this thing together. So with that being said, I made a decision that I was going to do an outline and we were going to do this thing step by step. And there may be some times when we get some revelation and illumination that I may sidetrack just for a little bit, but it will be because that's how God is leading us tonight. We are women of faith. We are people of faith. That's why this mission is so important because our God. He created us, and He has a desire that is divine, that's designed specifically for us. And when we are outside of that desire, there is no joy, there is no peace, there is no love. So come and take this journey with me tonight. I guarantee you that if you stay with me tonight via the telephone, via Facebook Live, you may see me turn here or there because I feel a need to be drawn to the telephone because I want the people on the phone to get the same effect as we get on this Facebook Live. So let's start talking about some definitions tonight. Let's talk about the definition of sin. The definition of sin, it says one of the definitions, it says power of detection, a course or of pursuit or discovery, an odor left by distinctive code. I want you to remember that, an odor, aroma left by a distinctive code. Now let's talk about identity. Identity. Sameness of essential or generic character, the condition of being the same with something described or asserted, the condition of being oneself or itself and not another, an exact likeness in nature or quality. Now, there is a mathematical definition of identity that just literally blew my mind. Now, if you are big in math and on math, I'm not a big math person, but if you are big on math, this may make sense to you right away. But when I read this mathematical definition of identity, it just literally blew me away, and I'm going to share that with you tonight. That definition says a transformation that leaves an object unchanged. Did y'all hear what I said? A transformation that leaves an object unchanged. So when you know who you are, there has been a transformation that has taken place in your life, and regardless of the situations and the challenges and the circumstances that come in your life, it leaves you unchanged because you are secure in who you are, because you know who you belong to. Identity is so key. So I need you all to remember that tonight. I need you to remember that tonight. And one thing I didn't do, I guess you all can hear me clearly. I did not ask to. I'm sure, Donna, on the telephone, you all can hear me clearly. Facebook Live, because you're responding to the things that I'm saying, you can hear me clearly. So I just want to make sure that we don't experience any technical difficulties before I start rolling, because I'm about to run right now, and I need you all to run with me. But I just want you to keep in mind, when we talk about identity, I want you to remember more so that mathematical definition, a transformation that leaves an object unchanged. So with that being said, I did a video earlier today in inviting others to join us tonight. I gave a snippet, just a little bit, about the things that I was going to talk about tonight. And I talked about, I said that I was going to tell a story about a woman, what happened to a woman when she knew who she was, when she embraced her identity. So I want you to listen to this story with me tonight, and I want you to walk with me in this story tonight. And I believe that by the time we get to the end of this story, I mean, it's going to bring such a revelation to us and give us an understanding, whether you're single, you're married, whatever the case may be, because right now we're in singular mode. And singular mode means that regardless of what we're attached to and our marital status is, we understand that we are being spoken to tonight on an individual basis. So walk with me as I read this story with you tonight. So one day there was this woman who had come to a crossroads in her life, and she was overwhelmed, and so much was going on in her life, and she made a decision. First, she was going to stay in the house and just crawl up in the fetal position as she has done in the past, but she made a decision this day, that she was going to get up and she was going to go for a walk. She went for a walk because the day was beautiful outside, and she just knew that being outside, that the open air would just help her in her state of mind, that would help give her some direction concerning what she's experiencing, what she's going through. So she began walking. As she was walking, she was quietly praying to herself and just looking and observing things. So as she was continuing to walk, she looked across the street. And when she looked across the street, she noticed this woman, this lady, because we'll call her, she is the woman, and we'll call the person that she's admiring a lady. So she saw this lady across the street, and this lady just really captivated her because she saw her. And at first, when she saw her, she noticed that a bunch of children were running around her, and the children were with their mom, and the mom was just busy talking with them, and the children weren't listening. They were just running around. So the lady, she reached down and she picked up one of the children, and when she picked up the child, the other siblings came running around, and she began to hug them and talk to them and rub on them. And then, she began to tell them how beautiful they were and how strong they were and how beautiful their clothes were. She just started giving them attention, and by that time the mother came closer to the lady, and she began to speak to the mother and tell her that she was beautiful and tell her that she had the power to talk to these children in a way, because the woman felt as if the mother felt as if she just talked to the children and they don't listen, and she just felt like she had no control over them. So the lady was just speaking to her, telling her that she had this because God entrusted those children to her, and that she was capable of being everything that God has called her to be. So after that, those children and the woman walked away from the lady, and then next came these group of men, and some of them were young, some of them are old, and they were walking with their head hung down, and they were looking down, and you can tell that they were overwhelmed. You can tell that they were walking with the weight on your shoulder. And the lady began to interact with them in conversation. She got their attention because one thing, she got her attention because she was a nice eye candy. She looked good. So when they walked by her, they happened to look up and they noticed that she was an attractive woman. So she said something to them. She got their attention, and she began to dialogue with them and talking with them. And they just gathered around her, and they started talking, and they were listening. And she just started telling them stuff like, you know what, you are awesome, brother. I don't care what you've been through. You are still here. Just speaking life to them. And you can begin to see them. Their heads were lifted up higher, and they were looking straight. Then they were conversing with the young, with the old, and they just built a camaraderie amongst themselves. And you can see the light that came upon them as the lady began to speak life to them. So they walked away, and then all of a sudden, you see coming down the street, there's this young lady, and then there's this elderly person walking behind her. So the young lady is walking ahead, the elderly person is coming, and you can tell that young lady who was walking in front of that elderly person, she was like weighed down, and she just like, you could look at her in the face and see like she just didn't want to be there, and she was like, I can't do this. I can't do it. So the woman who was watching them from across the street, remember, she started out because her day was so heavy, and she's looking over at them, and she notices that the lady who she's admiring begins to reach out and grab that young lady by the hand, and she pulled her close to her. And when she pulled her close to her, she said, it's going to be all right, sweetheart. It's going to be all right. So she looked and she saw the elderly person. She said, that's your mom, your aunt? And the young lady said, this is my aunt. So she said, okay. She said, you know what? And the young lady began to talk, and she said, I'm having to care for my mom. I didn't plan for this. I didn't plan for my life to be like this. And it's too much with the doctors, with the appointments, with her. It's just too much. I didn't sign up for this. So the lady who's been admired, and she's already talked to the children, she talked to the men, now she's talking to this young lady who is a caregiver, and she begins to wrap her arm around her. She said, listen, baby, it's going to be okay. God equipped you for this. He knew that you would be here even before you did. He knew all about it. So I knew that the lady was telling her to lift up her head. It's going to be okay. And by the time she finished talking to her, the elderly lady came up closer to her, and the lady began to wrap her arms around the young lady and the elderly mother, and she began to whisper a prayer in their ear. And you can see their heads being lifted. You could see the joy that came upon them. You could see the young lady grabbing the hand of the elderly person who happened to be her mother. You can see her holding her, and she turns to her mom and she says, Mom, I'm so sorry. This was just been too much for me, but I feel strength right now, and I feel like we can do this together. together. And the mother grabbed her daughter, wrapped around her, and she said, "Thank you so much for taking care of me." So then they walked away. And all of a sudden, as the woman who started on this journey, she stood there and she began to, she said she felt this urging and this nudging to walk closer, because it's like by this time so many people had gathered around this lady. And then all of a sudden, with all those people standing there, the lady began to open up her mouth and pray. And I'm telling you, when she prayed, something began to happen. Lives were changed, people around them, and everything. So the woman who started out on this journey, she's like, you know what? Now she's being pulled. Now, first she was just captivated. Now she's being pulled. She's being pulled towards this woman. She's being pulled towards this crowd. But the closer she gets this strange feeling upon her. She begins to just feel unusual. She couldn't identify. A part of her said, "Nah, you don't want any piece of that. You need to walk away, because maybe this is something not right." But then there was another piece of her saying, come on, we got to go. We got to get closer. We got to see what's going on. And as she walked closer towards this lady in the crowd, it was as if the crowd knew that she was coming, because the closer she got, they began to open up and they created a path that was leading directly to the woman, to the lady. So the woman, she's getting closer and closer, and as she's getting closer, now tears are coming down her face. She's like, now this is something, this is crazy. She getting closer and she getting closer. Now she's close up and she sees the back of this woman, the lady. She sees the back of the lady, and she's getting closer and closer, and all of a sudden she gets closer, and the lady turns around, and that lady is her. And she falls on her face, she falls on her knees, and she begins to pray, "God, make me her." Because see, the thing she didn't realize all that time, everything that she admired in that lady that she saw across the street was on the inside of her. She didn't know who she was. She had yet to embrace who she was. She had yet to know and remember who God has called her to be. So when she saw that woman who she admired from afar off, she made a decision in that moment that she was going to take the step, and she was going to embrace who she was. She was going to embrace the fact that God had given her a gift to work with children. She was going to embrace the fact that God gave her the ability to speak life to men who were hurting and abused. She realized and she accepted the fact that God had given her the ability to care for caregivers and to speak life to them. She realized that God gave her ability to pray, that when she opened up her mouth, things began to happen. And it was an awesome thing. And the thing that I'm excited about tonight as I share this story with you is to tell you that that was me. That was me. That was me when I was in a place of not knowing who I was. That was me when at the age of 21, all I knew to be was my husband's wife. At the age of 27, all I knew to be was my children's mother. And then from there, being my mother's daughter, my grandmother's oldest granddaughter, my siblings' sisters, and being everything that everybody else called and desired me to be, but not being who God really called me to be, and not really embracing who God called me to be. And then at the age of 38, I found myself as a single mother. I found myself as a divorced woman. And even as a single mother, I would not even verbalize those words. And people would be around and I would hear them talking about the difficulties that they had as being a single parent. I would never embrace it in a way, because single parent meant to me failure. It meant to me that I wasn't even able to keep a man. It meant to me that I did not succeed in the thing that I was supposed to succeed in. So as time went on and I understand that transformation moment, see, because when I met me across the street, that was my encounter. When I met me across the street, that was my time of transformation. And remember, we're remembering the model, the definition that we're going by tonight is the mathematical definition of identity. And it says a transformation that leaves an object unchanged. And I want you to think about that tonight. I want you to think about who you are. I want you to think about whose you are. I want you to remember that you are somebody special, that God has called you to be the woman that you are. And because he called you to be the woman that you are, you deserve to be loved. You deserve to be with a man who loves you, respects you, and honors you in every way. Now, I just need to know, because I know that I've been going and I've been saying it, but are you all following me tonight? Are you all getting this tonight? Because I don't just want to keep talking, and I don't want to keep sounding like I'm giving you this message, or we're having this conversation. I need to know tonight that you all are with me, and that you have an understanding, and that you understand the importance of knowing who you are. You understand the importance of having that set of identity upon you. I did in the Facebook group, if you have the privilege of being in the Facebook group, I did a short video today of I interviewed my brother, and I asked him about his ideas, or what he thought about women, the women that he's dated in the last year. And I want you to go look at it. I don't want to tell you about it, but basically he was sharing the scent that they release. He was sharing the scent that they give off. He was sharing the scent that they get from the women that he has dealt with in the last year. And he's dated a lot of women, and he's still single because he made up in his mind at the stage where he is that he knows who he is. He doesn't have a clean past, but he is ready as a man now, as a father now. He is waiting for that queen who knows who she is, so that together on the rest of their lives, they can make the rest of the lives the best of their lives. So I want to make sure that you all get that and you understand that tonight. Now I'm going to jump to my notes really quick, because I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything, because everything that I believe that God has for us tonight is so amazing. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. So I do want you to note tonight, in talking about identity, and when Donna talks about identity all the time, she comes out of Genesis, the first chapter. And then Genesis, the first chapter, it says in the book of Genesis 1, the first chapter, 26 and 27, God shows us that we were created in his image and in his likeness. In Psalms 139, it says we were fearfully and wonderfully made. When we realize what happens to us does not define us, when we realize that the things that we've experienced do not dictate who we are, when we realize that we have the power to bounce back from divorce, from death, we have the ability to bounce back from everything that we have ever been through, when we realize that we have the ability to stand because of who we are in God, we won't look to other people to validate us. We won't look to other people to identify us. Why is identity important? Identity is important because the life and strength of who we are is set it sets purpose in motion, and it gives you the ability to remain consistent in adverse situations. And remember that mathematical definition of identity. When you know who you are not intimidated, you don't play small, you're not needy, you don't look for others to define you, you let things go. You realize that when challenges and situations happen in your life, that it's not the end, and you stay true to your authentic self. The scent that you give off is loving, it's engaging, it's empowering, and it makes you aware, and your self-esteem level is high. And I want you to think about that, because in order to get the type of man that we say that we want, we draw to us. We draw to us. If you find yourself every single time you're getting the same type of man, you're in the same type of situation, that doesn't say anything about them. That says everything about you. That says that's the type of man that you are drawing to you. But when you are clear about your identity, when you know who you are, the scent that you give off, the aroma that comes from you, it will only draw to you that man, that godly man, that man who respects you, that man who loves you, that man who is willing to work it out with you and walk through each and every challenge that you experience. Now, one thing I want to read something to you as I wrap it up. I did this post last year in March in 2016. I put this post on Facebook, and I want to read this to you, and I want you to listen to me clearly. And it says, "Sisters, can we talk? This is my transparency moment. Let me first make a disclaimer that I am not, nor do I confess to be a relationship expert. The words I share are from the heart that come from lessons in this life. So many of you are heartbroken because of the breakdown of a relationship and feel your life is over. I have to intercept your thought process today by helping you understand the power of your thoughts. And I was 52 at this time. I'm 52 years old, married at the age of 21 to the man I plan to grow old with. I had stayed married. If I had stayed married this month, I would have celebrated 31 years of marriage and 33 years together. Unfortunately, the fairy tale life I imagined was not. And at the moment of discovery, I felt as though my life was over. No one would want me with 2 children, and my self-esteem went to negative below zero. It took me a long time to rediscover me in my life. Initially, I felt as though my ex-husband damaged me and ruined my life because he chose to walk away. I was angry with him for throwing me back in this world as a single woman. I've since grown, and while I do not approve of the way my ex handled me and my children, I'm grateful for the 3 beautiful children we birthed together and the awesome time we had while we were together. Since that time, I've dated a number of men and have had some decent relationships, some of which I was happy ended and some I hoped for more. Although I have encountered some characters throughout my journey and been hurt by the best, I still believe in love. I still believe that God has someone designed specifically for me. What I've learned throughout my single status years is to embrace the lessons of every relationship, understanding that they are all not meant to be long term. I realize today that some of the men I allowed in my life came to ignite and activate me, some to remind me of my lady status, some to remind me of my beauty, some to show me my insecurities and areas in need of improvement, some to remind me of what I didn't want, some to show me what I was willing to put up with, and some just came to be the friend I need on my journey. I have learned to pay attention to my heart and God's discernment in me. I will not give up on love and relationships, and I encourage you to do the same. I hear all the time, "I can't believe that you're single." Well, I am, and I'm okay with it. I never buy into what women often repeat when they say they can't find a man, that men are too intimidated by me or trust me. And I say, trust me, I've dated men who exceed my accomplishments in careers, education, finances, and more. So intimidation, not. I am guilty of times of not being able to separate Stella, the woman, from Stella, the motivator, but I'm learning. Be sure, be true to yourself, and ask God for the courage to tell yourself the truth. And if you are looking for a man to complete you or to be the happiness for your life, you need to redirect your mindset and become more acquainted with the real you. Through God, you have the ability to create a life filled with joy, love, peace, and so much more. Understand that being single is not a curse. It is a time for self-development, self-growth, self-empowerment, self-discovery, and an awesome time to grow in God. Take responsibility for where you are today. You know what I say, be a part of your own rescue. Embrace the lessons of your past, allowing them to become awesome blessings to empower you today. More importantly, let go. If it don't fit, don't force it. If he chose to leave, let him leave and be okay with it. Know that God has not forgotten you, and he wants to see you live a life of joy. And we're in June. It's a new month, it's a new day, it's a new hour, and let it reflect a new you embracing a new mindset filled with hope and joy. Understand this one thing. I love brothers, and I choose not to give up on them. So until they find us, let's continue to pray for them. Walk in our greatness, grow closer to God, and be our best self. I know it hurts now, but believe me when I tell you, you can, you shall, and you will make it through this. So get up and let's make some awesome things happen. Remember, you are God's beloved, and let your desires be towards Him. And God brought that back to me today. Like I told you, I did that in March of last year. And He brought that back to me, and I felt an urgent need to read that to you tonight. Now, let me just wrap it up here. And when I wrap it up, I'll give it over to Donna. And if we need to talk and dialogue some more, we certainly can. But my hope is that the things that I've shared with you just thus far has blessed you, has encouraged you, has just cause you to lift up your head to understand that the purpose, that the scent of identity is so necessary. So lastly, let me tell you how I know Donna Izzard is on point with the mission, with this mission and assignment. This week I posted on Facebook, whosoever findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor from the Lord. And this brother, who I thanked for his honesty, he posted this comment. And I want you to listen to this. All the good ones been married 1 or 2 times with children, and they are bitter as hell, still carrying old baggage. Me, this time, I'm waiting on the Lord. Now this brother is waiting for you to embrace the center of love, vision, and identity so that he can get his favor and his good thing. Did y'all hear me? He waiting on you so that he can get his favor and his good thing. So if you're guilty of this statement, this means that the sense that you give off to men, this is the sense that you give off to men. And it's important and it's imperative and it's necessary that you take advantage of Donna's webinar, No More Bridesmaid Dress for Me. I desire to be wifey. Now, if somebody creative, you can make up a song about that. That webinar is going to be on June the 27th. This brother and my brother that left the video in the group, these brothers are waiting for you to embrace your sin of love, your sin of vision, your sin of identity, so that they can get their favor and their good thing. In my wrap up, let's summarize what we talked about tonight. I gave you definition of scent. I gave you definition of identity. I told you the story of my transformation when I understood and I came to the point of really seeing and knowing who I was. I shared my heart as a woman to the sisters on Facebook. I read that post to you. I let you know, I read to you a comment of as how men see us when it comes down to being that good thing and that favor and the experiences that they have for us. So I want you to think about the things that we talked about tonight. I want you to really take time and see, this is kingdom work. This is kingdom assignment. We didn't come here tonight. I can break down the scriptures to you. I can tell you how Abigail was a woman of wisdom, and she had this crazy man named Nabal who was foolish, and how she used her scent of identity to change the trajectory of her life. She spoke to the life of David, and she spoke to her life, and because of it, David came back and got she can. I can go and we can talk. There are so many stories throughout the Bible where we can talk about the scriptures, but we know we get the word. We get the word all the time. But what we realize now, it's time to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you all. It's time to have some real talk with you so that you can understand that the scriptures are real and they will work for us if we get ourselves in position, if we align ourselves, if we set ourselves on course so that we can be everything that God has called us to be. If you are married and you're having challenges in your life, I need you to check out your identity, because if you are looking for your husband to be a certain way, if you're looking for your husband to validate you, then you are not clear about your identity. If you are here, and we had every number that was on here, all the postings showed every number. If you're single, I want you to check out your identity, because all this talk that we do, I don't need a man. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell y'all something. And Donna, I hope you don't mind real quick. I'm gonna do something real quick. Y'all talking about y'all don't need a man, and if y'all okay, y'all don't need a man, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm looking for something that I want to play real quick. Y'all sit about. I don't need a man. I could be bad all by myself, and I can do all these things. You believe these lies because these are not the lies from the kingdom. These are not the lies from God. These are the lies that you chose to accept within yourself because you want to continue to walk around with bitterness and anger and all of that. No, that is not who God has called us to be. That is not. And don't get it twisted now because we're not saying, oh, I got to have a man to be somebody. No, we're saying that when God created man and woman, he created man and woman for each other, to engage, to multiply, to create, to love. There's so many things. Let me tell you something. Ain't no shame in my game. You want to hear it? This is me right here. And I hope y'all can hear this. I hope you can hear this. Let me see if I can figure out to do this. Okay, here it comes. Let me see if I can get. Could y'all hear this? Donna, can you all hear this? Y'all let me know. Can y'all hear this? I need somebody to talk to me because I don't know if y'all hear it. Can you hear it? Thank you, Blanche. Okay, can y'all hear this on the phone? And I see I could write it. I could make a comment in here. I didn't know I could write a comment. I need y'all to listen to this. This song that I'm playing. This song right here, I'm gonna type in here what it is.